Rick and A, Zena K. Purple. Honey. Oh, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. We're on season 5. That's why I'm nervous. Because this season, I feel like I'm grown now. Like, I'm 23, so I feel like I'm grown. So it's time to have some grown people conversations. So our special guest today, like I said, this is a grown folk conversation, that's for sure. So if you are 18 and below, this ain't for you, boo. Period. No, I'm kidding. It's always good to be informed. But without further ado, our guest for tonight is Miss Stacey Johnson. Honey, the owner, CEO, and founder of Stacey Lace. Can you tell us about that?
Okay, yes. First, hello everyone. My name is Stacey Johnson, and Miss Rika Nadine was correct. My ministry is Stacey Lace, and what this ministry does and business is, it is focused exclusively in the areas of sex and intimacy, and we target Christian married women. So that's kind of like us in a nutshell.
Right. I feel you. So where do I want to go? Because there's so many questions that were like when I do a lot of research. For one, before we go anywhere, her website's listed down below, so you can go check out all the things that she has on her website. Honey, go follow her on TikTok.
Well, you too many M's, so lose. If don't do both M's, and then you'll make it there.
My.
I knew you could fix that immediately. Go ahead. Hostess with the mostest. I love this platform. It's so cute.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. I think I fixed it. Yeah, period.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Make sure you check out her website. So first I want to read First Corinthians. First Corinthians 7 and 5. So if you have a Bible, no, I'm kidding. But if you are near
our phone, though, we got our phone.
If you are near Bible, turn with me. 7 and 5. And I'm reading the NIV version. It says, "Do not deprive each other, except perhaps by mutual consent and for a time, so that you may devote yourselves in prayer. Then come together again so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control." So if you read this whole chapter of Corinthians, it's talking about marriage and what you do in a marriage and things like that. You can read that on your own time. I ain't married, so that ain't none of my business. So my first question is, why do you think that the church does not talk about sex and intimacy? Why? I don't get it.
So I shared a status earlier on my Stacey Lace page, and I'm gonna read it to you because I feel like that answers that question. So what I shared earlier, I said, it's easy for us to call sexual things worldly and sinful because the world has taken things of God and perverted them so much that his married children of God don't even want them. We shouldn't want them in their tainted and perverted form, but should, however, want all the original blessings God has for us in marriage. If God said do it or have it, whatever it is, then it shouldn't be an option. That means we need it and it's good for us. So to kind of break that down, and I thank you for your question, but to kind of break that down, I feel like that the church doesn't talk about this type of stuff is because we feel like that it's worldly, it's sinful, and it's nasty. And what I was so heartbroken when I thought about that post when I was just sitting and talking with my husband, and I feel like the Holy Spirit dropped that in my spirit. It's like we're so quick to call things of God nasty, but that's only because the world has taken it and perverted it. And I was just like talking to my husband, like when we think about our biological makeup, there are certain things that sexually if we agree that God made us and formed us in our mother's womb, then there are things that turn us on sexually that we don't have anything to do with. Like if you get touched in a certain spot or a certain way, we don't have anything to do with that. We don't have any control over that. Like our body does that on our own, which if we give credit to our creator, then he created us to feel that way and to respond that way. So even when we talk about, certain things in marriage, as far as certain ways that married people like to express their love physically, some people are quick to kind of say that that's nasty or that's too much. But really, to be honest, like it was created for marriage. Everything sexual. Now, intimacy is different. But everything sexual was made for the confounds of marriage. God did that intentionally. So anything that you can do in a marriage with a man and a woman who are legally and spiritually binded, then we supposed to be doing it, And so I feel like, like the world takes it and they of course, like I said, pervert it and they twist it and they do it so boldly that it just makes it look like that's a bad thing. And honestly, y'all took that's ours. It belongs to me. You took something that belonged to me and made it so disgusting that just even a hint of it just makes me feel repulsed. And I think that's the problem.
From what you said, I actually came up with 2 different questions. I'm gonna shoot them both, and you can answer them how you want.
Okay.
1, how would you define intimacy? And then 2, with how, like you said, the world is taking what God made for marriage and making it a nasty thing. Like I remember watching a video on Instagram, and there was this 5-year-old, I think she was 5, singing WAP, like songs like WAP and things of the world. So hopefully you asked that question right.
I think you did. I feel like you did. So how I define intimacy, my pastor, I don't think he made this up, but he says it so much, and he was the first person I heard say it. And he was like, intimacy is into me, I see, like, or into me, you see, into you, I see. Like, so intimacy is anything from sharing secrets, to being physically connected. So intimacy is just sharing space, honesty, vulnerability. So you can be intimate with someone who you're not even in a romantic relationship with. You could be intimate with a friend and it really be genuine, intimacy. Like that was intimate. That was very personal. That was a part of me that I shared with you. So that's how I define intimacy.
Okay, that's a good way of defining it.
Okay, and then so your second question was, I don't remember what it was.
I forgot where I was.
I remember 5-year-old swinging WAP. That's all I remember.
Right. I was talking about. I guess I was kind of agreeing with you. Yeah, I'm gonna put it like that. I was kind of agreeing with you about how the world has taken something that God created to be a beautiful thing in a marriage, and the world, Satan has. 5-year-olds singing songs like WAP, and inappropriate for one. A 5-year-old should not be singing songs like that.
Absolutely,
there's no way.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I have some statistics.
Okay, lay 'em on me, girl.
I'm excited about these because when I was doing my research, I was flabbergasted. So there are 630,000 divorces each year since the start of the pandemic. 15% of these marriages 15% of marriages end due to the lack of intimacy and sex. 17% of Christian marriages end due to the lack of intimacy and sex.
Wow.
That number, flabbergasted.
Yeah. And so when I started my ministry, like I feel like that I had never even heard those statistics. And like for so long, we heard that money was the reason why marriages were failing, or like why people couldn't get on the same page. And I had never read that statistic, but what I know God showed me was that if intimacy and sex is not a problem, you will have less, like, not saying money won't be a problem, but we won't fight and tussle about it as much as we would, like I feel like that everything starts there. It's our connection. Because if there's no intimacy, we are not connected. If I'm not letting you in, if I'm not being vulnerable, if I'm not giving you a piece of me, if I'm not getting a piece of you, whether that's through sex or not. Now, sex is the biggest way we do it in marriage, but we know communication and stuff like that. But if intimacy is not going on, then I'm really frustrated and mad at everything. And then money is just what we can, that's now it's a power struggle. Like even as a woman, this is my money, like, or what you need to do. But so yeah, I feel like at the top tier, of course, submitting ourselves to Christ and what God is asking of us and requiring of us. But then as far as our human relationship, yeah, that intimacy and sex. So like those statistics are very encouraging. It kind of lets me know that I'm not crazy, like, and I heard correctly. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
I have some more. 40%, 40.5% of pregnant women right now are unwed. 35% of that unwed pregnant women are Black women. And it also said that at first, I feel like there's this stigma on Black women as being baby mamas or not being desirable to be married and things like that. But according to the statistics, since 2020, that white women are pushing right up under Black women. So they're 27.3% pushing being unwed and pregnant. I thought that statistic was crazy too. I was like, girl. So they making it seem like from growing up, I can say this. They always I feel like there was always a negative approach on Black women who were not married, who were having kids, who even how do I want to say this? This baby mama phase, people only talk about, Black women being in, but according to the statistic, Caucasians are dealing with this now as well. So it has nothing to do with, it does have something to do, but I just thought that was a unique thing.
Yeah, you are right about that, because every time we think about unwed, single mama, baby mama, that's Black girls. Like that's Black girls. Like, and we barely put Latinx or Caucasian or Asian. We don't put anybody else in that category, but like baby mama is a Black girl. Like, and that's sad. That's sad to know. First of all, it's sad that those statistics are true for any race and culture, but to know, like, wow, okay, so white girls baby mama too, huh? Okay. Yeah.
They talk about it as Black girls. So what do you feel in 2022? What do you feel is hurting the Christian marriages of this era?
Okay, number one is the devil. Folks don't want to give him I'm not gonna say his credit, but acknowledge that he has been given dominion and power here on earth. And he's doing what he does. So that's number one. That's what's hurting us. Like, we always have an enemy, we always have a present adversary, and that is the devil, that is Satan, that is Lucifer, whatever you want to call him. He is acknowledged. He is acknowledged, but from as far as my ministry is concerned, he's acknowledged, and he's going to be continued to be defeated. So the tactics that I feel like that he uses in Christian marriage is nothing uncommon to what he would do for a single person. It's definitely lust of the eye. I think that as far as men are concerned, I can't say men, because I'm learning that it's across the board, that we are in a hypersexual world, but we are in sexless marriages. So you can do something as simple as go to the grocery store, or really, like I told the ladies at a meetup, like I saw funeral pictures, and I saw young ladies who were clearly not wearing nipple covers or brassieres. Like, so I'm at a safe place. I'm not at a strip club. I'm not watching pornography. I'm at a funeral, and I see hard nipples, So I feel like that, not saying that young lady was, because sometimes it's just, unknowing, like just not being taught. But I feel like that since our world is so hypersexual, some things we that used to not be okay are okay now. And so we can see sex everywhere where you really shouldn't kind of see sex, but then when you're home, you don't see it at all.
True.
I feel like that is one thing that's attacking us, and I feel like that is leading to us not being happy in our marriages, us wanting other things. Even like women, I know like we can get caught up in fantasy like TV or these TV shows. The spirit of comparison
Come
is
on.
killing our marriages today. Like when we see certain things, men and women, but we paint narratives in our head. Our expectations are here, but they never come out here. That is a problem in our marriages. Communication, like we're not talking about things. Now I talk about sex and intimacy. So I have to go back to, we don't even know, I call them sex expectations. Like we don't even know like what our partner likes or wants or doesn't like or expected. And then seasons change. Like that, but that's the constant communication, the constant intimacy. I just feel like that we have allowed a lot of things to come between us in our marriages today. And like I said, my biggest focus is sex and intimacy. So I'm not really talking about money matters and money issues, except is that, okay, hey sis, the word of God says that you submit to your husband as you submit unto Christ. So like, you know, my point of view is really, really not embraced, even by Christian women. And I have yet to really talk about how I really feel about submission and how we should really begin to flow in that spirit, like for real. A lot of things would change if we realize the resting in submission. It's a fight when we try not to, but there is a blessing and a sweet anointing when we just submit. Throw your hands up as you do unto the Lord.
Right.
You know? So
my next question, I want to put this out there. You are a mother, you are a wife, you're an entrepreneur. I believe at one time you were even homeschooling your kids. You were a full-time teacher.
I still am.
Well, look at that. So, with you being a parent of all girls, I believe, how are you going to have that discussion, you know, when that time does come, you know, when they get to a certain age? I believe you have two at a certain age. I could be wrong though.
Okay.
Where you're talking about, you know, once you do get married, this is the intimacy, you know, how would you explain that to them, if that makes sense?
Okay. So so to answer all of your questions, one, I am a stay-at-home mom. I am currently a homeschool mother. And I'm an entrepreneur. My husband is in full-time ministry, so I support him as well. We are a blended family of 5 girls. Our ages are 20, 15, 7, 3, and 2. No, Lord, she would be upset if I said this. 7, 4, and 3. I mean, everybody finna go up age. Okay, so the ones that I currently homeschool every day are my 3 younger ones. And to be honest with you, I have learned, even as I have been more open to what God wants to do through the Stacey Lace ministry, is that I'm talking to my 7 and my 4-year-old in their own way about intimacy and things like that. So example, it's almost impossible for a young child to watch a cartoon or even a Barbie show where some type of intimate exchange is absent. They're kissing, you know, they have boyfriends. So now, you know, no disrespect to somebody else, but my babies, I'm really careful about Disney. So like, you know, I nitpick. I nitpick on what they watch and how much of it they watch. But like, so the shows, my 7-year-old, her show, you know, the shows she watches, they're a little older than the younger ones, but they talk about boyfriends and stuff like that. But the conversations that I have with my girls now is that, like, one of my girls thinks kissing is disgusting. And one of them thinks that it's so beautiful and she cannot wait to kiss her boyfriend. And I said, well, you know what? I said, it'll be even more great for you to save all your kisses for your husband. Like your kisses are gonna be so amazing. Like I'm not like, cause I'm come from a culture, it's like, you don't be kissing no boy. Like, no, like kissing is beautiful. Like, oh my gosh. Like, but it's even more beautiful when you wait. Like, cause you don't wanna like meet your husband and you kissed on all these boys. Like, cause when they get older, they're gonna find out that mama was out here kissing the boys. And it's like conversations that I have to have with my husband, you know what I'm saying? Like, and we have to talk through certain things because mama was out here kissing all the boys. Like she wasn't thinking about daddy. You know what I'm saying? So that is really like how we, like I said, in their own way, on their own level. So I'm not waiting until there's a certain time, because to be honest, at that time they've already been introduced to it in some shape, form, or fashion. Like as much as I watch what they watch, still watching age appropriate shows, they will still have an interaction with even sex, like, because like, yeah, kids can watch animals. Like a child still is going to be introduced to sex on some level. And so waiting until I guess we feel like puberty is the right time, to me, that's like the end of it. I'm trying to plant the seeds now. And I'm learning that different with my 15-year-old. I didn't have this idea and mentality that I have now. So even with her being older, I'm kind of trying to like backpedal, like, because she was curious. And I'm trying to backpedal now. It's like, I apologize if I made you feel like that you were doing anything that's not natural to you. You are a young lady. Like, sex is something that is part of our makeup. And so I won't condemn my children for being curious, but hey, certain things are beautiful and blessed if we wait. Like, it's okay that you have those feelings and those urges. The Bible talks about it. It's natural. Like, you are a healthy human young woman. But let's be mindful of not letting those feelings lead us down a path that, that we may get lost in and stuff like that. So yeah, so there is no right time for me. Like, I'm learning that now. So like my 2-year-old, she probably just gleaning on our conversations, but my 4-year-old, well, she'll be 5 in a few weeks, and then my 7-year-old will be 8 in a few weeks. So yeah, we've already had those conversations. And one more thing, like my 8-year-old, she was saying how kissing was, disgusting or whatever. And I was like, so she was like, I do not want to kiss my boyfriend. I said, that's good. I said, so do you think you'll want to kiss your husband? She was like, yes, I'll kiss my husband, but I won't kiss my boyfriend. I was like, okay, I'm just making sure that you just don't think kissing is completely disgusting. So yeah, we having those talks now, and it's real subtle. But hopefully we build up their relationship to where when they get older and it gets really big and really heavy, been talking to me about this stuff. So hopefully, I can go to her and talk to her about this.
Yeah, I love how open you are with, the talks of intimacy in their own different ways. Not saying I didn't have those talks, but it's I feel like the parenting these days, because everything's being evolutionary quicker, if that makes sense. Like I was in the doctor's office the other day, and I was there with my sister, I believe. I don't know why I was there, but she was talking about, no, I was in my training the other day, and they were talking about how puberty is now coming at the age of 7. When in my era, I feel old when I say that, but in my era, puberty hit around 12, 13, 14, but it's moved up dramatically because of social media, because of how things are, evolving. So I love that you are evolving with your children. I think that is important.
Thank you.
We didn't. I'm in a different headspace now. That's my mom.
Yeah, my mom be on all my stuff. I'm surprised now she probably at church. But I think it is. I think it is a different generation. And I think that if we would embrace some of the things that we were taught, and then still, I think that sometimes we're supposed to build on it instead of like tearing it down. I don't want no parts of it. Like, no, there were good parts about how our parents raised us. It just, okay, let's supplement it for these new methods as well, because I wasn't either. It wasn't the same way that I was brought up, and then I didn't listen either. So my mom tried to tell me stuff, but I didn't listen. So yeah, it was completely different. But she sees like how I'm parenting different, and I think she acknowledges that. Like, wow, Stacey, that's really good that you see that and you speak to that, and certain stuff like that.
I agree. I think I think parenting is a beautiful thing, especially in this age. Parenting is such a special, especially when you're parenting Black girls. I feel like it's different. Like literally, you're molding the whole next generation of African Americans. Like I just think it's beautiful. But anyway, that's besides the point. So I looked up #1 questions about sex, intimacy in a Christian relationship, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. What should I do? This is not me. This is the question.
Okay.
What should I do if my spouse refuses to have sex with me?
Okay.
You need a new husband. No, I'm kidding.
Okay. So it says spouse. Now, one thing that I have learned is that husbands will withhold from wives and wives will withhold from husbands. So I think that we generally always think about the wife doing the clean, but husbands will do it as well for different reasons. So we are going to assume that this is a faithful couple, right? We're not okay. So we're gonna assume that that they are believers. So I still feel like #1, yeah, that is pretty a deep one. Because it's like why you have to know why. There are so many questions like, have you initiated? How often do you initiate? How are you initiating? How do they tell you no? Because you know what I'm saying? Like, is it like nah? Like how are they telling you no? Yeah, like are you guys laughing and sharing time together and doing everything else but that? Or is it like we're like roommates? Like that one is really hard, Rika. Like it's a harder one because there's so many other
more context to the question. Like, I'm doing everything I can or whatever. Like they should have explained more. How do I deal with a partner that has sexual struggles? It says partner this time, so it could be. Hopefully it's marriage.
Yeah, because now I realize that as Christian singles, we do what we want to do, but we know that the Word of God is calling us to celibacy or to stay virgins until marriage. So if your partner is sexually struggling, then you could be part of the struggle because you may be helping them stumble.
Right.
So assuming that it's in a marriage, #1, that is amazing for the other spouse to know that. Like because that is a deep level of intimacy. Because one thing I feel like even in a church, we watch all these shows where homosexuality, like they're not even just showing us homosexual couples, but now they are showing us down low heterosexual marriages who like the woman is stepping out with a woman and the man is stepping out with a man. So for one partner to communicate that with another partner that's a struggle, like that's a big thing. And to be honest with you, we all gonna struggle with something.
Sure.
Like if that's a believing couple, then that other spouse, because that spouse was honest and open with you, that's the type of stuff you take in prayer completely. And then what can I do? Like I had that my husband is like my ping board. Like I'm throwing every idea and every thought I conceive, I throw it at him, and like he probably don't even want to throw it back sometimes. I'm like, listen to me. But I asked him that question earlier today. I'm like, if the marriage bed is undefiled and people have certain desires and certain wants, and you're not including another person in your bed, then I was actually wondering, like, how far is too far? And I really feel like that if you stay in the confines of your marriage, if you stay there, your heart and your mind, you stay there. Now it's different if you know what I'm saying, your body with your spouse and your mind somewhere else. Like that's not okay on any day. But if you do have certain feelings and things like that, I just feel like that your marriage is a safe place. I can't express this sexual energy nowhere else. I'm gonna be wrong. I'm gonna be wrong. I'm gonna be risking hell's fire. Like I cannot. And it says that in the scripture that it's better to marry than to burn with passion. Like, don't burn with passion. Share your passion with your
Right.
spouse. So I feel like that's a beautiful place. Like, and I hope that the spouse who got the information doesn't condemn them, that they cover them. That's not to be shared with anybody else. Like, that's extremely, extremely personal and intimate. That they cover them in prayer, that they love them through that. Like, and that's just like a heterosexual husband coming home telling his wife, like, I'm struggling, like, watching pornography, or these girls at the gym with these little tights on. Like, he should be able, but I realize you gotta be a different place as a wife to be able to receive that. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause we can get real self-conscious real quick. But but I think that if we can be honest and open with ourselves first, sexually, intimately, then it makes it a lot easier. Yeah, like that's a beautiful place. I know it may not feel beautiful to the spouse who, you know what I'm saying, who they're going through that, but like that's a beautiful place. That, because that type of honesty is not the norm.
That's again, when I wrote down the question, I didn't even think of it the way you're saying it. But the communication, how she, like you said, like how she's figured, or maybe he communicated, or maybe he showed, like, okay, this is a struggle for me, like, pray for me, help me. But I agree. I didn't even look at it in your perspective. So, where do I want to go? Okay. Okay. What are some tips and hacks that you would give to a married couple that may be watching us, or maybe listening to us right now about their marriage, and they want to improve on the intimacy level and, the sexual level? What tip would you give them?
Okay, the first tip, go to StaceyLace.com and buy everything on the website. Okay, so that's tip number one. But honestly, yeah, I gotta put my inventory back up. So you probably just want to subscribe, because
right,
like that much stuff there. So number one tip is, I'm never going to yes, okay. That's one of my Lacey ladies in the comments right now. So yes, so you want to join Stacey Lace. Some tips and some tricks. Number one is talk about that. Like that's sexy to just sit and, share with your spouse, like, hey, what you think about this, or what you think about that? Like, so let me do different level couples. Okay, so just say a couple that may not have had like a sexual, take it higher conversation, because we don't really talk about sex. It's a little uncomfortable, but one of the spouses want to kind of play around. So on my website, one thing I do try my best to have available are games. Like, because the games can break up the uncomfortable, awkward conversation that we probably should have, but nobody knows where to start it or how to start. Like, do we talk about it after we were intimate, or before, like actually, you know what I'm saying, in there, or like when, like at Starbucks. So it's like, hey, let's play this game. Right. Or even the game itself, even if you don't play the game, just the conversation about the game, like just talk about, oh, what's on the back of this game? Oh, they say do this. Have you ever done that before? What you think about that? Like, it just breaks it up. It opens it up. We just being open, we lose. So that's number one. I really love games. Promote, talk about the game. Definitely connect with the group. Like, we talk about so many different things. I would say do not go and research pornography. Pornography is not education. It is staged. It is unrealistic expectations. It is tainted. It is it's not natural. So pornography is not educational. So don't go do that. I would say that like I said, look around the website, because to be honest, I really have everything there that you could, not everything, Lord, but the most basic things there that you will find in a lingerie shop or in a store. Like right now on my site, like there are some novelty items, which I know a lot of people feel like are controversial, but I do have a different age of following in my community. So I'm not ignoring the fact that at certain ages, our bodies don't work the way that they used to work. And so even like with toys and vibrators, I know a lot of people think those are unacceptable in a Christian marriage, but I feel like that they are medical devices. Like there is a husband that may not be able to perform like he could, but at one point, but they can do that together. We can still, this is an aid, this is a supplement, this is aiding us in reaching our intimate goals, you know. So even with those toys, they are not to be used apart from your spouse. And I say that on the website. And so yeah, like I would say definitely for real, check out the website, even if it just starts a conversation. You know, like, and it's a safe place. You don't have to worry about, you know, seeing some other stuff that you ain't trying to see right now. So because you can, once you start typing and Googling stuff, once that little SEO get in there, you'll be getting all type of stuff on your Facebook feeds. Like one of the ladies told me that she went to my site and now she getting ads, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So like, I didn't like that. Like, I don't like that. Like, don't use me, Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Stumbling.
Right.
So yeah, I really would say that. I would say check out the site, have a conversation, talk about it. As long as you having it. If you're not having it, then it's a problem. It's a problem if you're not having
it. Okay. Girl, that was good. Those tips were good. So, again, like I said, this is a very, I do want to put this out there. This is a very sensitive topic. Not only for me to discuss as a single woman, but also, you know, just a discussion as a whole. Like, I was like, okay, how are my viewers going to react to this? You know, I have different ages, 18 to 54. How are they going to respond to it? A lot of them are in the faith. A lot of them are single. Some of them are like, I had so many questions, but I felt like with season 5, God told me to talk about those conversations that don't get talked about. Like it's, I feel like with season 5, it's more educational. So if I'm quiet or I'm stumbling over words, it's because I'm really trying to comprehend, you know, what the guest is saying. Like I really want to take it in. I wish I had my notepad right here because I'll be taking down notes. Like and I'm not even married. So if you're married, watching this or listening to this, get out that pen and paper and take some notes. Gems.
It's definitely prep. So I posted on my Stacey Lace page, I think yesterday. So it's been a year since I've opened my mouth and moved on this ministry. And I started off my personal page. Thank you. I started off my personal page, and then I made a Stacey Lace Facebook page, and I expressed. And I feel like that everybody who has added the page so far, most of them I'm familiar with. So I shared that this is for married women only. Like, don't even add the page if you are not married. And don't you know that like 30% of the women just said, girl, we don't care what you talking about. We still finna add this page. So honestly, and I love you all, but honestly, their requests have been getting denied. But when you get denied, you still can follow the page. So I posted, and I'm like, okay, ladies, I have expressed multiple times that, and I have even had unmarried women show up to one of my pop-ups. And I'm like, listen here, y'all, listen. But they are determined. They like, we need what you have. Like, you can help us in our singleness. So I was like, okay, y'all ask, you receive. I don't know when or how, when God gonna push it in there, but so my hashtag, I guess my catchphrase is prayer and passion. So pretty soon I'm gonna be doing a prayer and passion prep. So for my single ladies, like I don't know if it's just gonna be once a year. Y'all gonna have to get on this live and we're gonna talk about it. But like, what are some things that we can do in our singleness when it comes to sex and intimacy, preparing ourselves the best we can as a single woman, preparing for sex and intimacy in our marriage. You know, certain things that we need to stop, certain behaviors need to cut off today, certain behaviors we need to acknowledge, and get healed from, certain things like childhood trauma, sexual trauma, like all that stuff matters in your singleness, because believe it or not, whether you ignore it or not, it's going to matter in your marriage. And it can stay a secret. It can stay a secret till you die. but it still will affect your marriage in some shape, form, or fashion. It's going to create a wall on some level. It could still not be sex, but it could be sex to the level that it should go. It may not be all of communication, but in some way that is going, because it's taking up room. That trauma is got a whole bedroom full of crap, and you really need that room for something in your marriage, but it's full. Like there's no room here. So it's like emptying out those rooms and those spaces and places now. And the ones that you can't empty, be honest with that. So when you meet your husband, meet your spouse, it's like, hey, so this part of the house, like I really can't, you know what I'm saying, move it or take it out. Hey, it's here. What you think about it? And that gives them the opportunity to be like, yeah, that might be too heavy for me, versus not acknowledging it. In 2 years in the marriage, everybody falling apart.
Right. Right. I feel you. I also think that therapy, marriage counseling is a beautiful thing.
It is.
If you don't have a local pastor you can go to, there's all these people on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you go, there's so many people who are in the faith and who are marriage counselors. I don't understand. I was watching this video. Again, like I said, this is a very sensitive topic for a lot of people. So I was watching a video of a sermon, and he was talking about, having a marriage counselor. If you can't really communicate with each other, have a marriage counselor, like a mediator. So like you express this and then you go back and forth, whatever. So that's when the guy was like, he was on live. He was like, wait, they don't have a sexual intimacy problem. They have a communication problem. Like they're not communicating with each other. So I love how with topics like sex and intimacy, it breaks down other layers. I think it's a beautiful thing. Like conversations of child abuse and things from the past can come up just because something is being hindered in this physical, biological part of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I wrote down some reasons that God made sex such a beautiful thing in a marriage. I do want to keep pointing that out.
Yes, I know, right? It's in a marriage. Baby. Yes,
okay, so number one is it's unity between the spouses. Number two, of course, to create, be fruitful and multiply the earth. Of course, pleasure. And number four is God wants to teach us through sex in a marriage his covenant of love. And I thought that was very good. I was like, I didn't even look at it like that, but when it broke it down, I was like, this is deep. Like I feel like people make good money like on writing books about sex and intimacy, because people don't think of it. We just think, oh, this, I ain't even gonna say the words, but this and that like go together. We don't think about all the elements that go into intimacy and sex.
Yes. Yeah. It's very, very deep. Just even that last point, like for most of the women that I know, I realize that all women are not the same. But for most of the women, say wives, most of the wives that I know, once our feelings are hurt, once our feelings, I'm so sorry about that. Once our feelings are hurt, that's one of the first things that goes out the door. Like, you cannot touch me. Like, this is mine. I assume back ownership of my body. And that has to be one of the hardest things, like, for us to kind of get over, is that number one. And so this is the type of stuff that I'm very careful to say. Number one, God is not asking us to do a thing that will bring us harm or hurt. Number one. So when we go to scriptures in Peter and it says things like our bodies are not our own, but they belong to our spouse. Now it does say likewise. So we always say the wife body belongs to the husband, but it says likewise, so that's me too. That's mine. I'm not just, he's mine as well.
Right.
And it says that the only time that we should not do it is when we agree on it and fasting. And then we know there's a physical time of the month that some wives, like I don't judge people. Some people do, some people don't. I'm not even gonna act like that. That's not a thing. We ain't gonna talk about that. So anyway, it says that if the only time it's acknowledged to separate sexually is when we agree on it upon fasting, then it doesn't say that, okay, when you are upset with your spouse, it's okay not to do it. Or when you don't like the way they talk to you, it's okay not to do it. Like that, continuing to do it, that's how God loves us. Like he continues to love us. Like that is pretty deep. Like it's like your love and your marriage is not a response. Because if you responded to everything, then we would be divorced. Like everything is not a response. Like, oh, because you did, it's not cause and reaction. Like, no, this is just my cause. My cause is because God told me to. And that doesn't mean that I'm perfect every day, but that's my cause. It's not a reaction. You know what I'm saying? I'm not waiting for that part. So yeah, that's pretty deep too.
Dang, I just had something. I was like, girl, I like how she said that. But yeah, I think these reasons were pretty deep, especially the last one. Of course, to create children, that's a given. Again, that's biology. Like that's bio 101.
Yeah.
But the unity between spouse, I think people think, and I'm sure you touched on this, that sex is such a physical thing. Sex, there was this quote my bishop put. He's a single pastor. He was married. And he was like, I love with his ex-wife. He loved when his wife made love to his mind, like with intelligence and knowledge. It wasn't always physical. And we always think that men are, that's all men want is sex. That's all men want. But my bishop was like, he's the one that changed my mind that men want more than, what their eyes can see, or, what their mind is playing, the images that are playing in their mind. So I think the reasons I read off, I was like, girl, this is good. Let me tell this tonight. Like I was educated or something.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Like, and so I am educating myself, like reading books and stuff like that. But you are reading statistics to me and stuff to me that I never even read before. Like it's kind of helping me. It's confirming that, okay, you on the right track, Stacey. Because like right now it's like just straight. It's just straight inspiration, and I'm trying to put it all in. But yeah, no. So one thing that for sure I have learned, even with opening my mouth and moving with Stacey Lace, is that sex itself is not what a kingdom husband is necessarily dying for. It is respect and adoration, but that's how you show it in so many ways as well, though. So like you cannot say that a husband who is deprived sexually feels respected in his home. He doesn't. And then even with that bishop sharing about just about her being engaged with his mind, like that's what a confident, sexy wife is gonna do anyway. Like I'm into you. Like people say, want to be in your skin. Like just following you around. And I know
it's clingy. A lot of people don't like it.
Yeah, and that's okay, guys. Like, and I know, like, man, I think that we have had to be strong Black women for so long that we just think that's so weak to like want to be up under our husbands and want to run up behind them. Like, y'all, I'm telling you, the submitted life, I think right now it's trending like the soft life. Like, yeah, it's like that. Like, it's soft, submitted. And that don't mean be soft. Like, girl, you could be hard as a mug, but when it comes to your husband and God, I listen. I want to be with them. I want to be around them. I want to be in the presence of the Lord. Like, if I'm out of his presence too long, I feel weird. Like, I want to be up under my husband. Like, if we like, what's wrong? You okay? Like,
right.
And but when you want to be there, you talking, you sharing. Like, You know, my husband, he got all his cars and stuff. I don't know nothing about none of that stuff. But I'm gonna sit up. I done learned some stuff from just being with him when he does those things. Like, and I'm like, oh, so what about that? Like, what about that? It's like, that's intimacy. That's intimacy. And both people are turned on during intimacy. So it's a little easier to turn the intimacy into something else later on.
For
God, please. Yeah.
But that's good. Oh my goodness. I'm thinking because I've seen Fro's cars, like not all of them, but some. And I've seen you in the car. So I'm like, girl, she know a lot about cars. I know she and now that you tell me, I was like, girl, this is a lot.
Yeah. But I've learned a lot. I'm gonna tell you, I didn't learn a lot, but not enough to be doing half the stuff that he's done. But I didn't learn a lot. Yeah, I never rode rims until I married him. So he first dude to put some rims on my car and learned about tire sizes and stuff. But yeah, that's just from being around him. So yeah.
I agree with your point of, that, being soft. I think some Black women, not just Black women, some women feel like being clingy or being independent, very independent, and taking care of business, that they can't be vulnerable with their spouse. Or in some countries like UK, like I found out in the UK, this is a fun fact, they don't marry because they're supposed, like they have to get it approved, like by the queen and stuff. So they stay with people and they call them their partners. Like they'll be with these people 7+ years.
Wow.
And no ring on the finger. Have like 10 kids, still not married. Wow. I thought that was crazy.
That is crazy. That is. But I was thinking about, gosh, you just making a point about being independent. Oh, one thing too that is fighting that and pushing that agenda is the media. Like when we watch certain shows on TV, we listen to certain music. It's like when we receive those messages, whether it's through our ears or through our eyes, it's contrary to the word of God. Like it's contrary. Like if you don't got your bag, like and have your bag, but then no Bible believing women are saying, okay, have your bag, but if your husband asks for your bag, you better give it to him. Like have that mentality about your bag, like that if he needs the bag, it's his. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, so even if you have your own, but how submitted are you comfortable with being? But like I said, I've seen influencers share like, nobody wants to be completely financially vulnerable to another person. Like if you get up and leave me today, I need to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. Like, okay, you know what? Like y'all children of God, we cannot subscribe to that stuff because number one, if God is our provider, apart from a husband, like you and your singleness, God is your provider. You have to learn how to trust him in this season. Now, that's why I said submitting to your husband as you do unto the Lord. So if you ain't practiced to submit to God, it's gonna be extremely hard to submit to a husband. Period. It's gonna be just about impossible. So like everything that is being said to us and everything that we're watching is contrary to that. And we have to open our eyes to that too. I'm not, like trying to go too deep, but y'all, like there is really an adversary here that is completely against the holy agenda. So if I'm opposing it, then everything I do and talk about is gonna bump against that, in some way, subtly and more out in the open, but some way I'm a buck against that. So and I hate that too, but I feel like that us as women, like that's what's being pushed right now, like is that Black men, all right, but we don't just, gotta have them, even, but in marriage is the same thing.
My bishop is single, but he talks about how most of the single women in America right now are Black women. Like, and there was even an HBC, I forgot the name of it, but they did a what's it called, like an observation, I guess, of the local area of how many single Black women there were compared to married Black women. And the numbers, if it's not obvious, I'm very much a statistic person, not so we can label, but I mean, I'm 23. I'm trying to figure out like
Yeah.
I'm trying to connect the dots, basically. So
Mhm.
statistics are very important to me. Like if you're moving to another area, look up the stats, like the
Yeah.
crime rate,
Yeah.
schooling, things like that. I think that's very
Mhm.
important.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, I wanted to ask you something.
Mhm.
Oh, what's next for Stacey Johnson?
Okay, so there are so many different parts of Stacey Johnson. So you said Stacey Johnson. You didn't say
Okay,
Stacey Lace.
yes, Stacey Lays. Let's do
Okay, okay. I'm like, girl, that's like 3,000 different things.
right.
Okay, so so one thing that I do, we do have is in-person meetups, and we had one on June 17th. I brought in a choreographer, Poppin' and Pump, shout out Sequoia, and she taught us some little nice moves that we could, implement just around the home or just wherever we would like to with our husbands. And I have another event coming up. It was supposed to be August the 20th, but I am postponing it to make sure that everything is how I would like it to be. And the theme is sexercise. So we're going to, kind of implement just, exercising and health and the stretching and how that can contribute to, what we do and are able to do in the bedroom. So,
Right.
we're gonna focus on flexibility and body confidence because when you work out, you feel better, you look better, and your husband can feel that, coming out for you in every area.
Right.
So if any wife watching this is interested in that, so if you go to the website staceylace.com right now, my link tree is what's available, so you can like find your way to whatever you want to. The best thing I tell all wives to do is to subscribe through text or email, so whenever things go out, whether you are Facebook or Instagram or neither, you can still be updated on what's going on.
Y'all make sure you get locked to this woman of God's ministry. She most definitely enlightened me tonight. Like I said, this is an educational thing, not just for me, but the people that is going to touch, the people who are going to watch, the people who are going to hear. So I want to thank you so much with being so vulnerable, transparent, and just being you and, listening to the voice of God and acting on it. Because some people listen and be like, nah, I ain't ready to do that.
I
Nah,
know, right?
you crazy. So I want to thank you so much for listening to the call and doing it.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for responding. I mean, because God told you this your 5th season. And congratulations. I know you have won some awards, got some accolades and a kudos. Congratulations. So I'm excited to be on this platform. But yes, saying right back to you, like just stepping out, trusting God. You heard him say, this is the unconventional time in your season. And listen, that's the best thing that I can tell you is that respond. I know a lot of times that when we hear God, we look for the people around us to confirm it. But just know that you heard him. And then when it's time, the confirmation comes. Like you did amazing tonight. Your questions were beautiful and on point. Very tactful, very classy. I felt comfortable. I love it. I love it. The tea was great. It was not too hot.
Right. I didn't want to do too much.
It was perfect. The honey, just like I like it. Yes, it was great. It was great.
I love you. And a little backstory. Like I met Fro when I was working for Mr. Dale. A lot of people don't even know that I used to work for Mr. Dale, but that was way back in the day. Not really. That was like 5 years ago. But yeah, I met Fro and Stacey when I was working for Mr. Dale. And for one, if you haven't heard Fro's music, what are you doing? Because he is fire. Like he is fire. Not only his music fire, but he's on fire for God. And you can tell that in his music. But also Stacey, like we went to an event in Ohio, I believe. And she was just so welcoming. Like she was just embracing us. And at the time, I believe her youngest was a baby.
Wow.
Maybe not. I don't know. But you had a car seat. And you left the car seat. And you was like, can you watch this? Can you watch her real quick? I'll be back. I was like, she out here selling CDs for her husband.
Yeah.
I was like, come on. Like, that's a boss.
Girl.
So I love them. And ever since then, I've been in love with y'all. So yeah, that's a little backstory.
Thank you. Like I always hold my breath when people tell backstories because like I can just be in my own zone sometimes. And I'm like, oh gosh, I hope I didn't like walk past her when I was thinking about something else. So I'm so glad it's a good story.
I was like, this lady really just left her baby with a stranger.
Girl, I'm trying to figure out like where else we was at though, because that is not typical now. If it was a straight, where we was at, like was we outside? You gotta correct that one.
It was an event. I believe Pastor Sean Smith was preaching or something.
In
And
Ohio?
yeah, I believe it was Ohio. I could be wrong. No, it was. I think it was Ohio.
I remember going to Indiana with Dale, but that was with the detox, and that was like a smaller event. I remember like D McGee was there, so like that. So I don't remember Ohio. We're gonna have to figure out where it was at.
Yeah, I think I have some pictures somewhere. I'm be like,
okay, yeah, girl, make sure you post those. Make sure you post those.
But yes, I love you. I love what you do. I love the calling on your life. I love your marriage. I love how you have all girls. That's a beautiful thing. Like that's so beautiful. Like, do you know how many generations your daughters can create just from being daughters? Like that's a beautiful thing to me. But anyway, until next time, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
So until next time, we love you guys. Make sure you stay locked to what this woman of God is doing. Visit the website. You see it scrolling. If you don't see it scrolling because you're listening, it's www.stay. I said C. SEELACE.com. Make sure you go check out her website and get a flow of all that she's doing. Until next time, we love you and we out.
Bye. Thank you.